Welcome to tonight's Ward 1 community meeting for Thursday, October 12th, 2023. Tonight we have City Clerk Joanna Bellotta and City Auditor Jackie Cronin, who are here to make presentations and answer any questions you may have. So we'll get started right away with Joanna.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Very excited. Hi, how are you? Good. So I am the Fitchburg City Clerk. My name is Joanna Bellotta. I've been here for about a year and a half. I came from the town of Maynard, and I was there for about a year and a half. I worked next door at Verizon, retired for 25 years, and this is kind of my second career. So I'm just going to take you today kind of through the city clerk in the office's roles, responsibilities, and how we serve the community. So about us over at the clerk's office, we are the direct link between the residents and their local government. My staff involves myself, my assistant city clerk, Elizabeth McNiff, and then I have two principal clerks, Lisa Sicard and Lily Suarez, and we're all part of the office there. Our core functions are, we are support to the City Council, as well as the Fitchburg License Commission. We support and handle all their needs and assist them. We do all vital records, which are your birth, marriage, death, all election administration, dog licenses, business certificates, public records, legal, ethics and training compliance are kind of big hitters that we do. Customer service for my office is key. We truly believe in customer service and doing everything we can to help whatever person's in front of us to best identify what it is they're looking for and help them obtain that. We are the keeper of all city records, statistics, all business licenses, business permits, all legislative acts, all other vital documents. In addition, the city clerk supports City Council and the License Commission with meeting preparations, internal communications, all licenses, permit processing, and document management. We man the main number, so when you call City Hall, the main number is answered by us, and we try to facilitate what department you would go to and get you to that department. So that's a key factor, the phone's ringing. On top of all our tasks, we have the phone that we care for. City Council. The City Council supports policy setting for the city. It derives its power from the charter, the city charter, and the laws and constitution of the Commonwealth. The City Council authorizes public improvements, expenditures, adopts regulations, ordinances, establishes financial policy, and performs many related legislative acts on behalf of the city and the residents. Last year, 245 items were placed before the City Council via petitions, orders, ordinance, and resolutions, and all matters were processed and recorded accordingly within the clerk's office. And all appointments to city boards, commissions are processed and sworn into duty, and a permanent record is made, therefore, after, once they go through our appointments committee through the City Council. And all City Council matters are indexed and cataloged for ease of research and retrieval. Our License Commission, this is just a quick slide showing you what we have licenses for and the cost of them. So for just a package store, all alcohol is $1,600, and we have 10 of those. And that, I'm not going to go through each line item, but it's informative of where our revenues come from within the licensing. The City Clerk supports the License Commission to ensure all licenses are permitted. Businesses operate in a manner that protects the public safety and serves the common good. The Commission strives to provide professional and streamlined services, as well as excellent customer service. The Commission manages proper operating practices and holds disciplinary hearings when appropriate to ensure accountability. Vital records, we handle all birth, and people with birth certificates get kind of confused. The way Fitchburg would have your birth certificate is if you either were born at Burbank Hospital, or whatever name it was before that, or your parents at your time of birth lived in Fitchburg. So you could have been born in Leominster, but if you lived here, They could have checked off on your birth certificate to have it forwarded to the community I live in, and we would have a copy of that to save you the trip. Death certificates, again, occurred in Fitchburg, or the home address of the deceased was in Fitchburg. And then marriages, there's two things we do with marriages. We file marriage intentions, and that's when the couple decide they want to get married, and they go to City Hall to file their marriage intention paperwork. And we hold it for 3 days, and then they have up to 60 days to get married. And then there's the marriage certificate, which we provide if they did their paperwork in Fitchburg. And once the officiant signs off, we then fill out the state paperwork and provide that to the state. I'm also a justice of the peace in the City Hall, so I do perform weddings on behalf of the city, and those are also filed here in Fitchburg. Election administration, and we're in that season right now. So we handle all election processes. Voter registrations includes anything to do with address change, name change once you get married. If you go to the RMV to renew your license, that now automatically mandates an update that comes to us that says, and it's really funny because if on your license your name says Joanna Loretta Bellotta, and here you wanted to say Joanna L., you would then have to come back to us and sign saying, I want it Joanna L., and then we can change that. But however it comes as your signature from the registry is how we have to then put your voter registration card. So even as people were running for candidates, some had the middle initial, some had the full name. They're like, well, I don't want my full name. I said, that's okay, we don't have to put your full name, but you do have to come and fill out a new card saying you don't want that. Then we have the census form. The census goes out annually, and 90% of the clerk's work is all related to Mass General Law. And it generates these things. Census is Mass General Law. And the biggest point of census and why we need you to have it back is that's how our city gets our funding, is based off these numbers. And they base it on the number of people that live here by who fills out this form. And that money goes to our schools, roads. So we need people to fill out the census that live in this community so we get the appropriate funding for the city to function. So it's imperative, and that's something we have to do every year, usually in January. If you don't fill it out by June, then we make you inactive, and we send you a postcard that says we've made you inactive. Please complete the postcard if we should not have. I want to clarify, because there was confusion this year. When you become inactive, you still have every right to vote. Only thing that changes is when you go to your polling location, if you're inactive, you just have to go to the next table and show some type of proof of residency, sign an affirmation that says, I still live at 718 Main Street. You get a ballot and you go vote. So please understand, nobody is ever restricted from voting. We want people voting. We want everybody who can vote to vote. So our goal is to help in that as best as we can. And then we also certify all nomination papers. So any candidate running, any party running, we provide the papers, and then we have to verify all the signatures that they are registered voters in Fitchburg that signed your papers for you to achieve those numbers to run for whatever party office you were looking to run for. Kind of a calendar that we live by. January through March, we're doing the annual census. We're deleting our yearly absentee voters, preparing our permanent absentee voters. February through August, we're certifying petition nominations. April through June, we're doing census, the non-responsive ones, and preparing our street address list. July through August is our confirmation and the mass inactivation. September through November is in-person absentee voting. Early voting, we get all ramped up for that. And then December, we delete inactive voters that haven't participated in 2 federal elections. Something new people also get confused on, just to touch base, is absentee. They'll call and say, I'm not going to be in the city. I want to do an absentee ballot. That was what we had prior to vote by mail ballot. So absentee ballot is very strict to 5 reasons why, and you have to say why those are where vote by mail is no excuse. You just want to vote by mail. So people will call and ask for an absentee, so we send it out. And then they didn't claim what one of the reasons was, so we have to contact them back. And they say, well, it's none of those reasons. And then we say, well, just fill out a vote by mail. So most people in today's environment just need a vote by mail. The absentee is kind of the older method that this has replaced. Elections, in running with our election staffing, we have about 130 people that work and staff our polls. We prepare all the ballots, the machines. We have to test the machines with the memory cards before they go and refer all that to the state. We're very fortunate, the DPW, one of their things that they have to do, well, they don't have to. They're very collaborative and support us. They set up the polling locations. We have 6 of them, 2 in each, so really 12. And they come the day before, and I go with them, and we deliver all the equipment, set up the polling locations. We work them Tuesday, and then the next day we have to go pick it all back up, bring it. So that's 2 days our poor DPW workers are doing that instead of other, because they're always saying why. Well, they do so much that people don't know about. There's 2 days every election that they're off their job assisting for everybody to be able to go and vote. So, and I thank them, because without them, I wouldn't be able to do it by myself. I also have to coordinate with the fire department, with the police department. We have a police officer at every polling location. The fire department makes sure Memorial School needs lights at night. The parking lot's dark. Rollstone has that bad gap, so we want lights there. So they come, they put lights up. So it really is a whole city collaborative event. Even with the auditor here, we're paying some of the polling locations. We're paying for food for the workers. So it really involves the parking attendant. We put meters over on the senior center so people can park there, and we don't want to have to pay to vote. So we put bags over the meters. So it really is a full city hall collaborative working together process. Dog licenses. Look at those cute dogs. Those are my dogs.
Those are your dogs.
So every year we do, approximately this year, we're at about 1,500 dog licenses. Again, this is Mass General Law. It's not the city of Fitchburg, trying to put burden on our residents. We need to make sure all these dogs have their rabies shots. 100 years ago, people got bit, they got rabies. Government said, okay, what do we do to provide safety for our residents? We need to make sure dogs are getting rabies shots. So that's what this process, this law became, is why you need to have your dog's rabies for the public safety. So that's really what it is. It's not something the city of Fitchburg wanted to try to find another source of revenue, but now there's a cost for us to do all this that we have to try to balance. We have rabies clinics we run. We receive, the state has also said for all veterinary hospitals, whenever they administer a rabies shot, they need to notify the resident clerk of whatever community that's in. So we're getting faxes daily. So then we mail out to people that have not registered their dog that says, hey, I see you got your rabies shot, but we don't have Junior here. You need to come register Junior. So that's another item we do. And again, remember, we only have 4 staff. Then there's business certificates. Any business that, other than a corporation doing business in their own name, must file with the city clerk's office. It's also known as a DBA, doing business as. It's a 4-year permit. If you discontinue it, or if you're removing signatures or someone else comes on, you have to notify us. You must have a physical address, business address in Fitchburg, and we currently in Fitchburg have about 1,050 business certificates going. And a business certificate is not a license to operate in the city of Fitchburg. That's through the Department of the Building Department. That we don't, this license is strictly on record that you're doing business in the city of Fitchburg. And a lot of people, if you go to a bank for a business loan, they need this certificate. We do all public records requests. Again, this is a Freedom of Information Act. It's mandated by the government. You can email city clerk and ask for any record we have. We try to be as transparent as possible. We put a lot of records already on the city website to provide that information. But any record you request, you can send it to the city clerk. We have 10 business days to respond to that public records request. And we also have the right, which we're starting to do because we've seen such an influx in them, is to charge time for them. So the first 2 hours, the state says the city would not charge, but anything over 2 hours, you could charge $25 an hour. And then if it's paper copies involved, 5 cents a copy. So that's something we'd be looking to do as well. Legal, within the legal, all lawsuits are filed at the city clerk's office, all conflicts of interest statements. My neighbor's building something and I sit on the zoning board, that might be a conflict for me. I'm going to go to the city clerk's office and just file a statement that says, I'm going to recuse myself, this person's my neighbor. And we keep all those on file. All council ordering loan orders, and we notify the Department of Revenue on that. Elected and municipal employee management, we swear in all police, fire, any board committee members. We swear them into the oath of office. We give them, and they have to sign off that they received ethics guideline, the open meeting law guideline, and there's also every 2-year exam you have to take on the state website, and we make sure, and they sign off on that. Other services we provide, we're notary public. All 4 clerks in my office have their notary and are notary publics. That's, again, a benefit for the residents. We do proof of residency. They need them for school, for the RMV when they're trying to get their license. So we provide those letters. We also work with the fire department, and we take care of all underground storage tanks, lottery raffle permits, and genealogy, which every day more and more people are trying to find their ancestors, and we work with them to assist in that. So that was a quick overview because I didn't want to go, but that's kind of what the city clerk's office does in a broad overview. Do you have any questions? Oh, thank you.
Joanna, maybe you could share some of the election information that you might have about the
Sure.
current election coming
The
up.
upcoming election, we have our municipal election November 7th, Tuesday, from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. All polls will be open. We have early voting, in-person early voting. It's going to be at City Hall, 718 Main Street, Saturday, October 28th, 10 to 2, and then the following Monday, October 30th through November 3rd, 8:30 to 4:30, and the last day to register to vote in this election is October 28th, Saturday. City Hall will be open till 5 p.m. for anybody that wants to wait for that last minute and run in and register to vote, but that will be your last day to be able to vote in the November 7th. You can then register for the next one, which I believe is March 5th, the federal primary, will then be our next election coming up. So.
Website also.
All that information is on the City of Fitchburg under the city clerk, and we are putting it on Facebook. We're sending out probably every 2 or 3 days little blurbs on Facebook, reminders that this is all happening. Yeah, no, thank you.
It's quite a number of responsibilities that you have, Joanna, in your office.
It is.
Thank you for the overview.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And now we have City Auditor Jackie Cronin, who has taken over for the retired Calvin Brooks recently, and she'd like to share.
Yes, I did. I've been in the office now for 4 months. I was appointed by Mayor DiNatale in June. Well, thank you, Councilor, for inviting me tonight. And I think I'd like to just start by giving a history of the position and a little bit of my own history. Again, I've been here for 4 months. I took over, I actually have been in municipal finance for 21 years, and I've spent 12 of those years with the city. I was the deputy auditor for 12 years. But even before that, I mean, the city has had a very stable finance oversight. I can personally go back to, to Norman LeBlanc, who has served the city 50 years ago as the city auditor. He was on the retirement board. So the city's had a long lot of consistency in people, keeping an eye on things and being committed to the city. I was hired 12 years ago when Dick Saracen was the auditor, and he'd been in that position for 35 years. And then Calvin Brooks, who just recently retired, was in the position for 6 years, had been with the city for almost 10 altogether. And he brought in a lot of experience from the city of Gardner. So the city of Fitchburg's had some very stable financial management for the past several decades. The office of City Auditor is a position codified under Mass General Law. It's also further codified in the city's bylaws. The city auditor serves as clerk of the Finance Committee, as a member of the Retirement Board, and also a member of the Insurance Commission. But mainly on a day-to-day basis, we're working with other departments within the city. So we're not as a front-facing office as Joanna, working with the citizens, but we're more in the background in an administrative role. So my office right today has 3 people. Along with the city auditor, there is the deputy auditor, and we're very fortunate to have a deputy auditor come in who had worked in another department in the city and has a lot of familiarity with the city, so that's a huge benefit. She could hit the ground running. And we also have a staff accountant, again, who has worked in other departments in the city and is very committed, and I'm very grateful to have such a strong staff. Our day-to-day work, we approve and process the city's bills. Each department, go out and they do what they need to do. They may have contracts or not with the city, with other entities. So we work with the purchasing department, and they procure their contracts. And then we work closely with the treasurer. We actually approve the bills so that the treasurer then goes off and cuts the checks. So there's nothing that comes out of the city treasury without the city auditor's signature on whether it's on a bill, an invoice, or whether it's payroll. So we do the payroll on a biweekly basis. We're also coordinating with the school department. The school department functions to a large degree on its own. They're overseen by the Department of Education, but we do coordinate as a city. We support all the departments in managing their budgets, and we distribute budget reports at the end of each month so people can stay on top of it. And in terms of that's day to day or week to week, but annually we have seasons similar to the city clerk. In the spring, we do the budget preparation. So we were here in May and June having the city council vote on the mayor's budget. So we work very closely with the mayor and all the departments in preparing that for the spring. In the summer, we have the fiscal year end on June 30th, and the new one opens up July 1st. So that brings its challenges of which side of the aisle are we on today. And then in the fall, where we are right now, I'm closing the books on the prior fiscal year. It takes months to do that, to close everything out, reconcile things. I work very closely with the treasurer during this period of time. And also we'll be publishing an annual report when that's complete. Once that is complete, our outside auditors come in, and they work over the winter in auditing our financial statements. So there's, on a day-to-day basis, we're handling things, and then there's an oversight above that. And we always have the Department of Revenue to turn to when we have questions, if we're not sure how to handle something. And then those financial statements will be prepared in the spring, and just in time for the next cycle to begin, the new budget for next year. Those are our seasons. Let's see. Our main responsibility is to just make sure that the city's in compliance with Mass General municipal finance laws. So we report we mainly report to the Department of Revenue. They have general oversight over what we're doing. We have reporting that we do with them. They offer training and guidance if we need it. They're always available. We have a representative that's specifically available to us if we have a question. So there's always someone to turn to outside the city to find out, well, what's the best way to handle this situation. So we work closely with them. The school likewise works with the Department of Education. And then we kind of serve many masters. There's the Department of Revenue, there's the school department. Then there's also the Municipal Finance Oversight Board. So when it comes to the debt that the city takes on, if we're borrowing for the Crocker School or for the library, the outside world wants to know, okay, well, if we're gonna get into this bond market with you, we want to know what your financial position is and how strong it is. So we prepare along with the mayor, the treasurer, the assessor, and we prepare pretty well for those so that we can represent the city in the best light possible. And right now, last night in this room, I think there was the tax classification hearing. So we'll be working with the assessor and the city clerk in, again, reporting to the Department of Revenue and setting that tax rate. And then fiscal 24 will be locked in, and that's kind of how the cycle goes. In terms of training, we have a statewide association that we belong to that we're able to get training on different topics as they come up. And we share best practices, can support each other. Like I have peers in other cities and towns that are probably dealing with the same issues I am, and I can easily just pick up the phone and say, how are you handling this? And so there's a lot of mutual support out there, and we take advantage of that, and we participate in that. So there's always challenges, whether it's software or something new comes down the road. Now you've got to, somebody else has a question about something. We're always just trying to keep up. It's a challenge. A lot of deadlines.
At the bottom of the page, on every page, it says subject to change without notice. Well, little notice.
But we have the staff in the city is all very professional, and I think the city's in good hands administratively. So. It's kind of dry. It's not as exciting as marriages and elections,
You make sure we're doing it right.
Yeah.
That's the thing is before we do anything financial, Jackie's right there making sure we're doing it right before we go the wrong way.
It's true, because auditing is often looking back, but the best auditing is looking forward so that you start the process properly and you know before you even start where you want to end up. So we try to stay ahead of it as much as possible, but it can get tricky at times. Like right now, transitioning into the role, I can't even find some things, but it's, but we have, there's a lot of support and everyone wants to see each other be successful, so it's good.
So I would imagine that 12 years spent in the office as the deputy auditor has certainly helped you transition.
It's a huge help, yeah.
And hopefully.
And I was able to, as I say, stated, working, with Dick Saracen for 6 years and downloading his 35 years of experience. So that was huge. And so it'll be a challenge. I want to be able to pass that on or leave things in the best shape possible. But it has been very stable, and the city's been very fortunate. Yeah.
Thank you.
Even, times can be tough, but you've got people holding the line. So yeah.
Very good, Jackie. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have any questions from the audience for Jackie about...
Wish I knew.
Doesn't do you any good unless you know which lottery.
Yeah. We'll have a crystal ball. Yeah.
Yep.
Nice winning for someone in California yesterday.
Yes. It'd be nice if it was someone in Fitchburg, right?
I know.
All right, well, thank you very much for the presentations.
Thank you for having us. This was great.
And I guess we might as well end the meeting if there's no more questions. The next Ward 1 community meeting will take place on Monday, November 13th, 2023, right here in the Legislative Building at 6:30 p.m. Health Director Steve Curry and Fire Department Chief Dante Suarez will make their presentations and answer questions that anybody might have. So, thank you all for coming, and good night.
Thank you.